Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another rousing edition of our weekly roundup of Ring of Honor's weekly program. I'm gonna say weekly twice in there just to make myself sound silly. So, my name is Jesse. I'm here kind of hosting tonight. I'm going to throw it to Mikey right now to give you kind of the table setting when it comes to the socials, how to contact us, because we would very much appreciate that. We love any kind of interaction. Help us boost that algorithm.
Of course. Make sure to follow us here at the Bi-Conics YouTube channel. We do lots of things here. We do the weekly wrestling reviews, we do pay-per-view and PLE reviews, and we also have our videocast versions of the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast. Stay tuned because we're going to go live this upcoming Sunday. Whenever you see this video, it might be a little past that. But you may want to check that out because the Continental Classic was such a hit with AEW this year. So we're going to fantasy book our own. And the only rule is no boys allowed because it's all women, baby. Women's wrestling. It's like this week's Ring of Honor.
Which we're not complaining about. Also, don't forget tomorrow, depending on, again, while you're seeing this, we're doing a live watch-along for the Royal Rumble on our Patreon. Correct, Mikey?
That is correct. So I just got confirmation that I don't need to go to where I originally thought I was going to go. So I will be here for the whole entire thing. We're going to watch Mercedes Moné return. I'm just kidding.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping for a Liv Morgan return myself, but before we start crossing into different federations, my name is Jesse. I have Mikey with me here, as well as Andrew. It looks a little different around here right now because we don't have one of our colleagues, John, who's off doing wonderful things. And we... Hold on. Wait. Okay, John, you do have something you want to add. Okay, go for it.
I got him on the FaceTime. Hang on. Click.
Hey, ROH review guys. Sorry, I'm not there for the podcast. I did want to send a couple of pics over today, though. So here's my...
Hey, Hut, we're trying to watch a movie.
Oh, sorry.
All right, well, thank you for that. Hopefully he's not in too much trouble. That's going to be quite the hole he's got to dig himself out of. But we start the night with one of my absolute favorites, which I am a big stand for. Clearly, you guys know that. But we start the night with the Righteous coming out against Camaro, Jackson, and Anaya. Gentlemen, what did we think about this match? Oh, that's a good start. All right, well then, I thought it was a good match for an enhancement match. It was a little more than a squash.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy opening the show as a big fan of the Righteous. I was happy to see them open the show. Happy belated birthday to Vincent. His birthday was a few days ago, so I want to make sure I get that in there as well. And again, I'm never gonna. I mean, not never, but very rarely you're gonna find me saying anything detrimental about the Righteous. I was happy the match was worked well enough. I'd like to see some more of Anaya. I thought they did very, very well. Camaro Jackson was serviceable enough, but I think Anaya's got a pretty bright future. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest note from this was it was slightly more than a squash, but, you know, I mean, it kind of was. I like that they're building the Righteous because it seems like they recognize they've got a really quality tag team in them. I will say that I noticed a lot more people in the audience joining in on the snapping. It seems like that number is increasing every week, which is fabulous. I think it was Camaro Jackson who he got Vincent up in a delayed suplex, and then Vincent tried to counter out, and he stopped him and got him back up for that suplex, which was super impressive.
Yeah, yes, that was.
But all in all, it was a squash match to open up, you know, the card. I liked that it was a little bit more, and I think, reflecting on it, seeing how many squashes we had on this card, I was less enthused by that. But it was nice to open with the Righteous. It'd be nice if we're going to have these short matches with them, if maybe we got a promo from them at some point, too, in the night. But other than that, it's cool to see them winning, and I'm down for them to get that title.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I thought this was a serviceable opener match. I'm happy that the Righteous are slowly picking up some wins because I'm still bitter about their mistreatment in that 2-on-1 handicap match a couple months ago.
Boy, that was a generous statement there, saying mistreatment.
Yeah.
There's a couple more colorful words I'd use there, but you go ahead, Mikey.
Well, I mean, I'm not editing this, so we can curse. No, I'm just kidding, but...
No,
I'm just happy that the Righteous continue to win on Ring of Honor as they should, and that we are building them up to do something, I hope. I do agree with Andrew. If we are going to get the Righteous in this short match, capacity, I do want to see a short promo, and even in between on the episodes that they're not, you can have them do pre-taped vignettes like they did before, entering their match against MJF, and then all the stuff that they did before their Death Before Dishonor match when they teamed up with Stu Grayson versus the Dark Order and things like that. The wrestling is never going to be an issue with me for the Righteous, but I do want them to start building their character side up a little more.
I completely agree. I'd like to see more promos from them for a few reasons. First off, I want them to build that aura. I want them to rebuild that mystique that they've had. And secondly, I'd like to see where they've improved, because I know their promos were kind of hit or miss in the past. I'd like to see how they've come in their character work and in their mic work, the both of them. So we move on from the Righteous to another Squatch match between Nyla Rose and Lanie Luck. Again, it was a Squatch. I enjoyed it because I like to see that clearly Nyla Rose is having fun. She seems much more developed in her character here. And I genuinely giggled when she did the call for the 619, ran, and then just stepped through the ropes and kicked Lanie Luck right in the head. That was a beautiful spot.
I love she threw in there. She's like, I don't do that. Like, it was so good. She's so fun.
It's one of the beautiful things of Ring of Honor is the mics being able to pick up what the talent is saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a fun match. Nyla Rose has become... I'm putting her up there. Obviously she's involved in the Athena story and all that stuff. But just like Dalton Castle and Johnny TV have been super entertaining over the weeks, there's like these people that are really building these great characters and great stories, and so I'm hoping that they're going to continue to bring up the quality around them too. And Nyla Rose is such a good addition to that and Ring of Honor. The fact that she's pretty much carrying the world title story while Athena is out with injury, and we obviously get to see more of that later, just goes to show how entertaining she can be. And like I said last week, I love this version of her because she's the entertaining, unhinged, enjoyable heel, and I'm here for it. It's great.
It feels like she's allowed to be her.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And earlier in the week, because, I try to keep up with all these news outlets, she gave a short interview and she was defending herself against people like her and other like AEW talent that end up getting booked in Ring of Honor. I'm like, why not? AEW is not using Nyla at all at this point, so Ring of Honor has opened their doors for Nyla, and I think she's a perfect fit, especially since we really don't have any big Haas type women in the women's division. We have women who can do very powerful things, but when I look at Nyla Rose, I'm like, she's about to destroy everyone, and I'm here to watch for it. It's gonna be good. As far as the match goes, it's another Squatch. I think the only negative I had is that with some of the Squatch matches we got tonight, I feel like we could have spaced those out throughout the night a little bit better to go from one to another. I was like, yeah, okay, I think I have an idea. Or, I don't know, take some out maybe, because this was a 2.5 hour, almost 2:15 show. I was like, this was a long episode. There were 15 matches, but Nyla Rose winning absolutely makes sense. And I'm going to save all my love for Nyla when we get to the backstage segment, because I feel that, her Twitter personality is coming out, and I'm here for it.
So, speaking of that, we do see Nyla Rose later in the night. Moving on with the night, we next go to somebody who I saw on the card, and I went, Mikey's going to be very happy that he's back on the card. We've got Aaron Solo versus Zack Knight. I will let you two gentlemen talk about this match before I jump in, so please, by all means.
By all means, I'm going to go first because, listen, here's the thing. This is only, the third match from Zack Knight on Ring of Honor television. I don't care. He's winning me over. I feel that Ring of Honor is, I don't want to say in dire need, but it's nice to see some, even though he's currently traveling in the United States and living here, some British style-esque wrestling, especially the bruiserweight-esque type of, brawler power British wrestler. I don't know, man. Something about Zack Knight, nepotism aside with who his sister is, am really, really enjoying Zack Knight, and he's playing this in between. I'm kind of a heel, but you know what? I love being here, and I love what I do, kind of in betweener, so to speak. And you know what? I have to say, this is the best that Aaron Solo has looked on wrestling television in quite some time, because they're actually letting him wrestle and not throwing him together to be part of some weird factions and just doing nothing but backstage segments and promos. I really enjoyed this match. It was nice to see this match get some time. Aaron get some offense in, but of course, I'm very biased. Zack Knight for me is one of my favorites right now. One of my newer talents, and I hope they continue to build him up. I'm still waiting for him versus Josh Woods at some point. That is the match I want to see at some point.
Yeah, I agree. This match was good. It was nice to go into this after the 2 squatches, but it was nice to see Aaron Solo back too, because, you know, like you touched on, a lot of talent coming over to Ring of Honor. I feel like it's a lot of people who were either not being used or being used poorly and getting lost in that shuffle. And Aaron Solo is another one that's great, even if he's not going to be like top contender. He's got a lot of really good skills that can keep him in that middle area, and it gives just a new face, you know, to Ring of Honor. I like the fact that he got to show off a good amount of stuff, and it also meant that Zack Knight had some adversity that he had to work against. I also love how fast Zack Knight can hit his finishing combo. The fact that it was just like, he has a big combo that includes basically a buckle bomb that he just hits almost out of nowhere, and so it was really, it just makes it look vicious. It was a good, solid match for me.
Yeah, I think he calls that Nightfall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I hate to disagree with both of you. I thought this match could have been better. I was very impressed by Aaron Solo. It's my first experience with him. I was glad Rick Abadon gave us the information that he was partnering with Jushin Thunder Liger while he was kind of on his retirement tour, so that kind of gave me some good frame of reference. I thought it was a really slow start, and then all of a sudden we had the momentum shift, and then it was over. So this didn't do it for me, but we are not going to agree on every match. And that's okay. That's why we like this channel, is because everyone has different experience and a differing of opinion. Moving on to differing of opinions, we have the Mama's Boys versus SAP, and it's pretty well chronicled my opinion on the Mama's Boys. But I really enjoyed this match. I kind of liked them tonight. Although before we jump into the match review, I have a question and a concern. We had that very terrible moment played about 6-7 weeks ago when we heard some lovely, they called it singing, sounded more like caterwauling, but we won't go there. Where's that theme song that's been recorded? It's not there.
They had a whole intro package and everything, so maybe we're going to get a little bit, because like I noticed that the color on Garrison's tights also changed a little bit, so I think they're slowly matching up, so maybe the culminating event will be the debut of Maria's single.
Oh, well, then maybe they'll save that for All In. All right, Mikey, what did you think of this match?
Okay, so the match
That's a good noise to start.
The match itself, again, I'm going to say this about a bunch of them. I thought this was a fun match, and of course, we've been building up this feud between Spanish Announce Project and the Mama's Boys over the last couple of weeks, between singles matches, and now they're in a tag team match. I thought it was pretty decent until we got to the ending, and this is just my personal pet peeve, because I still have the image of Claudio Castagnoli demasking Penta over on main roster Dynamite, disrespecting the mask and then wearing it afterwards. That doesn't sit right with me. And I've already said my piece on it on another review a couple months ago with John. There is such a sacredity to Lucha Libre, and the mask is like the big piece that is very honorific for a lot of these luchadors. And I only seen this in the Western hemisphere of the world, in Western Lucha Libre here in the States, that wrestlers will demask individuals. And demasking's one thing. That doesn't necessarily get my goat, so to speak. But then watching Cole wear it afterwards and walk away with it, I was just like, we had a fairly fun match, but the ending really soured it on me. And that's just my personal thing, because of the rich history and the culture that comes with how the mask is like the prized possession of a luchador. which again makes sense in the story that we're telling because the Mama's Boys don't respect Spanish Announce Project. I'm just really tired of seeing almost every other week a luchador is getting demasked no matter which promotion it is. I need them to stop doing it, especially if they're going to walk away and wear it. I was like, you do not know the history and the respect behind it, because a mask is a prized possession for the luchadors, and for a lot of them, it's been passed down from luchador to luchador, taking on the mantle of the identities that they're currently working with. That's just me. I enjoyed the match. The ending really soured on me, and I want the Western wrestling companies to do better. Stop demasking the luchadors. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
We appreciate you. Don't careful slipping off of your soapbox on the way down. No, that is good context for especially me to have, because I really liked that heel ending. Like, that to me just played so much more into the heel characters. Griff Garrison has clearly gone off the deep end, and I was very skeptical about it when it started, but it's working for him, and it's working so well. So yes, I didn't love that Cole put the mask on. I thought that the unmasking was enough. And I can understand being, upset and outraged over that, especially the gravitas behind it that I don't have the frame of reference for. Mikey, I appreciate you providing that for us. But I think them having that good heel ending works for their team. What other note did I have here? Angelico, he seems like Angelico. He seems like he's moving better now. Like, he's not injured anymore, and he's kind of having fun with his character again. He's moving much more fluid. So I was happy to see that. I don't know if either of you picked up on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we know they all work with a lot of injuries and things like that. So he had a pretty hefty schedule leading up to him facing Eddie Kingston. So maybe he was just recovering from stuff, or, they work hard schedules too. But it was nice to see them in this tag team setting. And it seemed like, that definitely, like, SAP was back to their full speed. I felt different. Like, I kind of agree with Jesse, and I understand where Mikey you're coming from as far as the ending. I had a problem with the ending, not a big problem, but it was more the ending of the actual match, because they had a really nice build-up. Maria's going full-blown, like, heel. She was, like, some of the looks she gave Serpentico especially was just evil, and it's great. I loved it. And I like how the Mama's Boys are kind of they're, like, learning from her on how to really be good heels. There were some great interactions with Aubrey Edwards, and all night, the matches that Aubrey was in, she had some good moments with the wrestlers. As far as the mask goes, I think it fits with their character because it is disrespectful. So I think I understand what they're going for and all that stuff. And there's also a part of me that I would at least hope that because it's happening with the wrestler and their mask, and I hope that the other wrestlers respect it all, that it's something that they all agree on, and it's like I understand the respect for it. It's part of the story, and we're going to treat it with as much respect as we can. So I guess that's me kind of trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I hope that that's something they all agree on and everyone feels comfortable with it. Story-wise, I think it makes them look like absolute heels. So I'm interested to see where this feud goes, because obviously it's not over with, especially after doing that with Serpentico. But it was nice that it prepared Serpentico for later on in the evening. Hint, hint.
What do you mean by that? Are we going to have another revelation like we did a few weeks ago?
Oh, no, it's the same revelation.
Okay.
I will say, sorry, Jesse. I will say this one didn't make me as mad as the Claudio one, because at least Griff didn't rip it apart and then put it on. Man. Claudio ripped it, the mask, demasked Penta, ripped it up a little bit, and then wore it.
So next is we're talking about another set of heels, but heels that are so well over and everybody loves them. The Outrunners, who, again, Riccaboni talked about the time traveling, and then I got confused so I confused on that commentary. Against everyone's favorite, Mikey's definite favorite, Willie Mack, who always is happy to be on Mikey's screen, and Blake Christian, who I think needs to get a full push. He is so good in the ring. I'd like to see some more character development from him, but I'd like to see more of Blake Christian. It was a good match, and the Outrunners are always fun. I really don't have much more to add than that.
Yeah, it was a fun match. Christian had one moment when he hit a spear, I think it was on Turbo, on the apron. And when he came out of the spear, he was actually in the ring. So he speared him on the apron and, like, landed through the ropes. It was a crazy moment. I had to go back and watch like how he did it. But yeah, his movement is just
like when he jumped from the outside spear into the inside.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
I also realized watching the Outrunners wrestle with Willie Mack that I was, there's such a throwback, and it made me realize how much Willie Mack has really incorporated old school wrestlers. Like his style, it's like the new modern version of people like Coco Beware and Junkyard Dog. Like he's just got that kind of air about him, and it fits so well wrestling against the Outrunners. My only critique is that it's a tag team thing, and unless we're going to see more of, as Caprice called them, Heart-a-Mac, I don't like the fact that a thrown together tag team beat an established tag team. I would have been fine if it was shenanigans was how the Outrunners won, but I don't like it when that happens. So if they are going to keep tagging together and we're going to have a new tag team, I think that it might be a great chance for both of them to get a push, and then I'm okay with it. But if that was just, we're only going to see them maybe every once in a while, and then they're going to tag with other people and do all that kind of stuff, I don't like throwing away an established tag team for something like that.
I would support you on that. We've been seeing that a lot in Ring of Honor. We've got the Outrunners it happens to, the Iron Savages has been happening to, the Renegades it happened to. We've got these established over tag teams that keep losing, and we'll talk more about Iron Savages tonight. Mikey, what did you think about this match?
I mean, I enjoyed this match. My biggest critique is I'm going to agree with Andrew here too, because as our resident tag team expert that he is, I'm slowly learning more about tag team. I thought this was fun. My other critique is I kind of wanted this to go a little bit longer than it was. I need more Outrunners on my screen, please. Like Ring of Honor, because prior to Final Battle, they were all over the place. And then post Final Battle, we've been getting sprinkles of them. So I'm hoping to see them more as we progress, especially since even though we're still in January, Supercard of Honor is going to be here right before we know it too, with it supposedly being in April. God, that's going to be a lot of wrestling that weekend. Anyways, I enjoyed the match for what it was. More Outrunners, please. And if we are going to get thrown together tag teams, let's start, I don't want to say have them win over local jobbers, so to speak, and local talent, but let's not have thrown together tag teams beat established tag teams right out of the gate.
Yeah, I would completely agree on that one. Speaking of throwing together tag teams, this is a beautiful segue here. We have another exhausting 6 women's tag match. We've got Lady Frost, Trish Adora, and Kiera Hogan versus Taya Valkyrie, Diamante, and who was this? Layla Gray? I believe that was her name. It was a well-worked match. I'm glad Diamante got the pin. But we need to find a better way to highlight these women than these 6 women tag matches. Every time we've had one, at least the past 2 times, they've gone on and on about the board of directors, and this is how they're establishing who's going to be in the running for the women's TV title. This is not a good way. This is not an entertaining way, nor is this a way to show off each of their individual talents. I'm not a fan. I'll be very clear about that. Your turn.
I 100% agree. I mean, last week we got an 8 women tag, so at least this week it was 2 less. My biggest issue is when they came out, knowing what was coming up in the card, I was like, why not Taya and the Renegades if it's going to be a 6-woman tag? You got in a 3-woman tag that makes sense, like character and story-wise. We get to see the Renegades work together. I can't read it.
Oh, it's backwards. My screen's mirrored. Go ahead, continue.
You know, she would probably try to match up with a tag team, so she has an advantage over her opponents. Also, I feel like Gray, if she was going to be on the card tonight, she could have faced Abadon, and you could have put her in that singles match. Also, that would have not given, another L to the Renegades, which we'll get to later. I do love that the TVs almost always come out together, no matter what style of matchup that they're wrestling in. And I love seeing them together, so that's pretty cool. No one did bad in this match. It was entertaining. They did well in what they do, but I don't feel like the match served anyone, because it felt like this could have been last week's match. This could have been the match from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Like, it just felt repetitive, especially with how dense this card was with matches. Is it justice for Robin? For both of them, because also, like, we're seeing one of them wrestle. Where's the other one? Why? Like, it's so frustrating.
We'll get that. I'm getting worried about Charlette.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think we need to see more now that we know that this is coming up. Like, let's get into singles action, because now's the time they could start using that as highlights for the people that are going to be in it, and use them as, like, unofficial eliminator matches. Like, you know, kind of give those people that are going to wrestle for it those chances to step up and kind of, like, be quality competitors for a title, you know. So it wasn't bad, but I feel like they could have done more, and maybe if they had less matches, we could have seen more from them individually.
Yeah. My biggest worry is we're going to continue to get this for the next couple of weeks, because I need them to just officially, all right, here's the tournament. This is how long it's going to go. Let's be honest. We know that the finals is going to happen at Super Card of Honor, but that's all the way in April, and we still got to get through February and March, Ring of Honor. I'm not asking for you to start the tournament now, but, like, if you're going to be like, all right, I feel like Ring of Honor has enough women to be like, all right, we're going to do qualifying matches. There are 8 spots. We got 16 women from Ring of Honor, and bringing down some talent that don't get used from AEW, which I'm not going to be opposed to, especially if they're good talent, like we did get it. We're going to talk about one of them in a little bit. But I want to word this carefully. I am never going to complain when we get lots of women on the show, because Ring of Honor and another promotion are the only two. Well, actually, no. There's a third one. So there's only 3 promotions that we review here on the Bi-Conics that book their women, and we get multiple women segments and matches. I thought the match itself was fun. It's the booking around it that frustrated me with this match.
Insert my tirade from last week on this, and you'll have the same result. So we go on from we just go on to Layla and Rachel having a promo, which was much better than they've been in the past. They seem like they're having fun. I'm glad to see they're kind of opening up their characters and all the fun things they've been doing together. But it's also starting to sow the seeds of dissent a little bit around that TV title. So to me, this was an excellent promo, especially for the both of them. It shows that they've really grown and done some work around their skills on the mic.
I agree. Can I just say this is the first backstage segment we had in the whole entire night, which was nuts to me. We just had match, and then first backstage segment. I look at the time. It's been like 45 minutes. I was like, oh my goodness. I think that's also another reason why I felt like this episode was super long, because they sprinkled in the backstage segment, but man, that first quarter of Ring of Honor was just go. Okay, backstage segment.
It was only like 10% of the whole night were backstage segments, so we had a lot of action. I don't mind,
because we got a lot of wrestling, but I feel that we could have had quality over quantity. That's what I'm going to get into.
Story development's important.
That is and I'll get into that at the end, because I got a bit of some feelings about this show as a whole. But yes,
Andrew with feelings.
That is exactly the issue that I felt across most of this card. I enjoyed the moment with them. I like where they're going. I like that right now they're kind of friends, and we're kind of questioning like what's going to happen when they get into this tournament, which also leads me to believe that at some point in there we'll get to see the two of them face each other. I also like that the one that was implying this stuff was Rachel Ellering. You know, kind of giving hints at like, oh yeah, someone would have to have been watching you and working with you and paying attention to your skills to be able to beat you. So, you know, hopefully there's no one that's been doing that.
She's been playing the long game. Yeah, that was excellent.
And then, of course, I loved the little moments. Ring of Honor does this really well with them. Like their parting lines or their like off-camera, off-screen lines that you catch right at the end. And when they talked about going and getting sushi, and Rachel Ellering talked about having wasabi, and Layla Hirsch was like, "Oh, that's too spicy." It was just something about the way she delivered that I was like, "Oh, that's fun." Like, you said,
it makes it more real. It makes it something you can relate to. Speaking of to do a very stretched segue here. Problematic things that you had mentioned. We had the
Onto
Iron
Titty
Savages
City.
and Jack Jameson versus Lee Johnson and the Infantry. This whole match, the Iron Savages are coming down to the ring, and I'm excited as I normally am for the Iron Savages, but I am scared to death because Jack Jameson's actually in the build because it's a 6-person tag match, and to me, he's a liability in the ring. He's going to get somebody hurt. I'm not saying he doesn't try hard. I'm not saying I could do it better, but I am scared for the talent when he's in there, and I'm scared for him. It just felt like he didn't fit in the match. Everyone else was very talented and seemed to work safely, but except for him, I'm just tired of seeing the Iron Savages lose. This match did not work for me.
It's funny that you talk about Jack Jameson and not working as well in the match, because one of the things that bugged me about this match was the fact that Lee Johnson was in there like for a very brief moment and then tagged back out and then tagged in just to get the pin. I was like, why is Lee Johnson here? Other than
it was like, a group project and he signed his name on it at the end.
Yeah, other than for him to get a pin so Lee Johnson can like get another pin after beating Josh Woods and going on a losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jack Jameson took the pin. That was really the only reason we had a 6-man match instead of having 2 tag teams face each other. There was one moment that I did appreciate, and I don't know if they did this on purpose, but it's kind of that tag team storytelling was, I think it was Bronson went to attack the Infantry's corner, and it was Carly Bravo and Lee Johnson were on the apron. And as he ran in to hit them both, Carly Bravo jumped off the apron and Lee Johnson got hit. And I kind of liked that psychologically because Carly Bravo is a tag team wrestler, so he's used to being on the apron and potentially getting attacked by his opponent. As where Lee Johnson, more recently at least, is mostly a singles competitor. So it was like he got caught off guard. He's not used to just standing on the apron kind of a thing. And so for me, that kind of, I was like, oh, if they did that on purpose, that's some good storytelling. But yeah, I would rather have seen Iron Savages versus Infantry. I know we've seen it before, but I'd like to actually see the tag team division work as a tag team division. And I think this building matches like this is just an excuse to not have to develop more story around the division. And I agree. It would be nice to see that, so then that way when groups like the Iron Savages take a loss, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
To have the 2 singles competitors, or the 2 non-tag team competitors, be the ones involved in the finish, it was just like, okay, so this was just, we just took more time to have this match instead of it having mean something. And the Iron Savages, like, I love the comedy stuff that they're doing, but I want to see them, like, they're so strong. Even when they're doing comedy stuff, I want to see them be the powerhouse tag team that they are. So, like, they should be dominating a lot of the tag team division. But I'm hoping that they'll be able to do more with them in the future. Yeah, wasn't my favorite.
I'll keep this short and quick. Tired of seeing my boys, the Iron Savages, lose. Jack Jameson, I think, works better as a mouthpiece than an in-ring talent. Lee Johnson, as much as I like him, I feel that this was not the correct team to put him with. If we were going to take... I know he's technically with Shane Taylor, but if they wanted to do some weird thing, I would have actually taken the other Lee in Ring of Honor. I won't give me Tiger-style Lee Moriarty. I think he fits better with this, and weirdly enough, I feel that his character and his charisma kind of fits with the charisma and the characters of the Infantry too. They're very loud talkers. They're very charismatic.
There was one moment that I really enjoyed. You reminded me of, Mikey, is at the very top of the match, Jack Jameson and Carly Bravo calling out the city and like seeing who could get a bigger pop. And it kept going back and forth to a point where Bronson was like, can we start the match now? Like, it was good because it was the 2 guys that had the biggest voices and personalities. Well, I wouldn't say Jack Jameson's got the biggest personality of the Iron Savages. They're all pretty big personalities. But it was a fun way to like see the entertainment quality of those tag teams. So, yeah.
All right, and we move on from that one unless you had anything else to say about this abysmal dumpster fire. Okay, we're moving on to another Squatch, seems to be the theme of the night. Red Velvet versus Heather Reckless. Good to see Heather Reckless again. I like seeing her. I would like to see her actually signed, but I think they're just using her as local enhancement talent. It was a Squatch match. It was a servable Squatch match. Red Velvet's got a wicked nice tornado kick, and that's it. That's all I've got for that, unless there's anything earth-shattering you two would like to add.
I would like to see Red Velvet stay in Ring of Honor. I think she and AEW had a limit to how high they were going to take her, especially now with how being out. And B, I want her to be in the TV title tournament. She's super good. She's a great performer, both physically and character wise. But yeah, Squatch. So just racked up another
one in the win column.
Yeah.
I thought this match was fun. Sign Heather Reckless. That's my ending statement.
Okay. Well, speaking of happy and invested here, we move on to Nyla Rose's promo, which was a shining star of this night. We go and she's backstage. She's throwing away Athena's stuff. Lexi's trying to stop her, saying, "Those are Athena's." Nyla has a great line. "Well, I should hope so. Her name is on the butt." She's the new minion overlord, TM, which, again, a great line from Nyla there. And just a great way. It was just a great way to recap Nyla's career for those who aren't aware of everything she's accomplished. I love this. I am for it. I am for this whole feud. Let her feud with Billy. Get through that. Bulldoze through Billy, which I do not want to put Billy through anything, but I think for long-term storytelling purposes, this would work really well as a way to get to Athena. I am all for this.
Yeah,
Okay, resounding silence. Are we done with this?
No. This promo was great. I love it. Nyla has shifted seamlessly into working with the minion forces. It's been great. Her and Lexi do so well together. And I agree. This was one of the highlights of the night, and it says something that my two top moments of the night were backstage promos. But yeah, I'm loving what they're doing with Nyla Rose, and as sad as I would be to see Athena get dethroned, if Nyla Rose is the one to do it, I'm okay with it, because obviously she's earned it with the career that she's already had, but what she's doing in Ring of Honor is fabulous.
Nyla, I'm going to continue to say it. I'm so happy that the Ring of Honor is allowing Nyla to be the authentic version of herself and actually letting her talk. Again, she is very quick-witted, which is something you can't say a lot about wrestlers in this business, is that she's quick with the comeback, which is really good. She had so many fun things during this whole entire thing. I would hope so. It says her name on the butt. She bullied Lexi into getting the camera. She powerbombed the cameraman through a table, and she was yelling at the camera, like, "Do it! Do it!" It was the equivalent of, do it for the content! It's like, you know what? This isn't working out. Through the table. Again, I also want to shout out Lexi too, because we constantly hype her up and she is just that good. Lexi is such a good backstage personality, not just with the interview, but she is her own character. And the one thing I will say, especially with her AEW counterpart, Renee, both of them are so good at what they do, just not only in the backstage role, but just then they're also now being allowed to be characters themselves and be involved in all the shenanigans that are going on in the professional wrestling world. I am so excited to see what further developments we get with, Athena and Nyla. And I'm so ready for eventually when Billy has to go up against Nyla, because we're building toward that so beautifully, and I am super excited.
This was a great promo. Talked about how Nyla's coming after Billy next. And we have her match next. Billy Starks versus Tootie Lynn. It was a basic squash. Tootie Lynn looked very stiff and scared. Didn't bode well for Billy in the ring, so it was a squash, but not a great one. I really don't have anything else to add to this. Should we move on to the next squash match of the night?
Yeah, this one seemed awkward and choppy.
Yeah. That's it. That's the match. Awkward and choppy. We move on to a squash that was not as awkward and choppy, but it still, again, was just a basic squash match here, which we have All Ego Ethan Page versus Cody Lane. I believe this might be the first time that Ethan Page has come out with the All Ego moniker on his title card, so we're no longer quarter or half. We're full there, All Ego. And again, a basic squash. I have not really much to add to this. It served its purpose. Got him another win.
Yeah, no, at this point, my only note for this match was another Squatch.
Agreed.
Mikey, anything unraveling for you or revealing?
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is Ethan's third or fourth win in a row.
I want to say third, but I'm not 100% certain.
Because he beat Tony Nese. Then he had one or two. Anyways, besides the point, if this is the number 4, then that means that Ethan, all he has to do now is win one more match, and then he gets a championship match of his choice, which, please let it be Kyle Fletcher. Please let it be Kyle Fletcher. I mean,
he's called him out already.
Right. And here's the thing. My brain has been trained for them to call their shot way ahead of time, and then when the time comes, they don't do it because for booking reasons. But so I think if this is his 4th win, Ethan just needs to win one more, and I'm ready for Ethan versus Kyle. Whether it's his 3rd or 4th win at this point, squash match. That's all I have to say.
I'm ready for it. Whether it's in April or sooner, we can. I mean, Kyle Fletcher's such a good worker and so great with that title right now. He could do it next week. It could build. I'm happy with that either way. We move on to the most absurd promo of the night, and the absurdity is what made it so beautiful. We have Dalton Castle backstage trying to ram down the door. That's not even a swing open door, so he wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. That was the best part of it. And then Johnny TV coming out. I got a split, doing a split, and then getting pulled from behind. So it seemed like he had a magic split that got him right out of there. The absurdity of this promo is what made it so good.
The fact that he could maintain that pose was beautiful to watch while he was being dragged away.
It was so
composure.
His reaction, the way he just does, he is all of them involved in this are 100% committed, and the little added, frosting on the cake that this was, Taya popping her head through the curtain and saying, "Ha ha ha, loser," and then taking it off. It was so good, so good. I love this. This was my highlight of the night.
I don't know if it was my highlight of the night, but this made me the happiest of the night. This and the Nyla Rose promo. The only way I could see this getting better is if Dalton Castle started incorporating the cheese that he's holding in his jumpsuit and throwing it at them. Like if Taya Valkyrie came out and said the losers thing and then just got a piece of processed cheese smacked on her face, that would have been it. I would have probably soiled myself laughing at that. This was lovely. Mikey, anything to add on this?
Nah, this was my favorite backstage segment of the night, hands down. This is going to be the thumbnail as well. I'm just putting it out there, as it deservedly is. So, I also love the fact that Dalton Castle had to be held back by Jerry Lynn as well. Yeah. I was just like, what is happening? But yeah, Taya peeking through the curtain. This was a beautiful thing. I loved it so much. This was my favorite backstage segment of the night.
This was great. And we go on for something that was great to something that I, as a fan, am frustrated by. We go from the theater of the absurd to the theater of the absurd in regards to the booking decision here with a specific wrestler. We've got Robin Renegade versus Abadon. Robin is such a great natural heel. She's such a good trash talker. She belongs in Ring of Honor because they do mic up the match so that they can actually hear the wrestlers. It was very well worked. I knew Abadon was going to win the match. I am calling for justice for Robin Renegade. I am concerned she does nothing but lose for all her hard work. We don't know where her sister Charlette is, who I'm getting concerned about. Charlette, if you watch this, please let us know you're okay. And I am calling it justice for Robin. So, gentlemen, please take over. I'm going to have a moment of silence while holding up this sign while you two talk.
I will say, I think we all knew that Abadon was going to win this match since they've come into AEW. This is their first match or not AEW, sorry. Since they've come into Ring of Honor, this was their first match. I did like the fact, I have liked the fact that when we've seen Robin lately, even though she's lost, she's gotten to do much more work, and she looked really strong against Abadon, who, they're a monster, wrestler. They have that, underworld creepy factor to them. And I like that it showed that Abadon has that durability because that's such a big part of their character. But like I said earlier with the 6-woman tag, this could have been Layla Gray. And, that could have given Layla Gray a chance to shine and also have Abadon beat someone that's not Robin Renegade. And then Robin could have actually been on the team with Taya and had been on a winning side potentially.
Why? They would have made her take the pin too if she was in that match like they did last week.
Yeah, but their team won.
Terrible
so
at this.
At least maybe if she was on that team, she would have won. But
Fair point.
I think the booking could have been done better in that sense. But I do think that even in defeat, Robin looked solid. But please give us the Renegades back, even if it's just having one of them at ringside while the other one's performing, because it makes sense for their characters. They have that style. They're sisters. They're gonna have each other's back. And it enables them to play into that character work that they're really good at, playing those heels. Yeah, I think this was my favorite women's match of the night, because the other ones we had were either Squatches or the crazy multi-person one. So I didn't mind it, but yeah, it would be nice for the Renegades to be able to actually be developed.
Come on, spit it out.
So,
is this where you tell me to listen?
No. This is where I apologize ahead of time because this is probably going to get me thrown off. Anywho, I actually think that Abadon winning was the correct choice, though I would have switched out her opponent. I definitely agree with that. How do I put this nicely so Jesse doesn't get mad at me?
Maybe I can clarify for you. Abadon winning was the correct decision. Against Robin Renegade was not the correct decision. There's my disclaimer there. So if that still is going to make me mad, then we're going to have fun.
Not necessarily make me mad. I agree that you could have switched Robin out for anybody else. Maybe a local talent. Maybe Layla Gray could have been in here. Though I disagree. Well, not necessarily disagree. I think Robin losing, while it does suck, I don't think it damages her any sort of way in the long run of things. I mean, we are seeing her on a losing streak, so that is a little bit disappointing to see right now. But given the fact that since Ring of Honor has rebranded itself, the Renegade Twins have been a staple from the very beginning of this rebrand, and I feel that they have kind of, quote-unquote, paid their dues. So losing to Abadon, I don't think necessarily detracts from anything that Robin has done within the last year and a half of this. I do agree that switching out the opponent would have been better, but I don't mind Abadon winning here, especially since I'm a big fan of Abadon. I really, really am, and I really enjoyed what they did in their match against Julia Hart with that build-up. My only concern, and I hope Ring of Honor watches this, I feel that if we built to this match, like if we had Abadon coming after Robin for the last couple of weeks, and then we get to this match, then I would have been more okay from a storytelling perspective, because the last 2 times we've seen Abadon, she has been, just appearing after these multi-women tags with no real semblance of a why. And that's where I kind of stand. I'm not mad that Abadon won here. I think Robin losing doesn't necessarily hurt her in the long run, because I'm the type of person that looks down the line to see what everything is. And I've kind of had to be that way for my own mental sanity, because I would get so hyper-focused on the here and now that I want to give it a chance. Now, if Robin continues to lose, within the next coming weeks after this, then I'm going to eat crow, and then I'm going to take back my statement that I'm saying now. And this is recorded proof, so we'll revisit this statement in a couple of weeks. But I'm happy that Abadon won. I'm hoping that we get to keep Abadon in Ring of Honor for a little bit, but let's build Abadon up. Let's build them up for a feud. That's where I stand on that.
I am incredibly upset by your entire argument there because it made so much sense for me, and I can't believe that they didn't think about it. So I'm upset for a good reason this time.
It's okay.
All right, we move on from there to, I thought we saw this person earlier, but I guess not. John Cruz versus Jack Cartwheel.
I think we got a glimpse of John Cruz at some point earlier in the night. I feel like we just saw his face for a moment.
The hair looked similar. So Caprice with the cartwheel count was just a great part of the match. I'm glad to see more of Jack Cartwheel. It was a good match, but at this point, this was like match number 11 or 12. I was exhausted at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't really have much more to say. I was at the point where it's like, I can't take any more notes. So, you gentlemen.
Yeah, this was a fun match. You know, I enjoyed it. These two are really great workers. I thought John Cruz was a great person for Jack Cartwheel to kind of get. Hopefully this is the beginning of success for him in Ring of Honor. I've been waiting for him to get that push because he's so over. He's so athletic. He's so entertaining. I love the fact that Caprice commented on the fact that the only other person in Ring of Honor who can kind of compete with him in the gymnastics and athletics is Lady Frost. Because on social media, they actually had a cartwheel off, the two of them. So that was a nice little nod to that. It was a fun, entertaining match, and I hope this is the beginning of getting to see Jack Cartwheel pick up some success in Ring of Honor, because I think he'd be a great staple for Ring of Honor, and seeing him really kind of get another push would be great.
This is breaking ground right here, breaking news. This was my match of the night, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
I agree.
This was my match of the night for two reasons. The athleticism between, not just from Jack Cartwheel, but from John Cruz too. I think their styles complemented each other very, very well, which is always nice when you have opponents whose styles mesh together very well. But what won me over with this match is just the small bits and pieces of character work each of them did. I attribute Jack Cartwheel as the happy-go-lucky babyface. He's happy to be here. He loves professional wrestling. He is the Sheriff Woody, if we're using Toy Story analogies here. Jack Cartwheel is like the embodiment of Wheezy from Toy Story 2. It's just, there's something about him that's just adorable. You love him, and you want to see good things for him, just like with Wheezy in Toy Story 2. On the other hand, you have John Cruz, who is going to play your heel in this match. But he's the type of heel that's akin to... He's just a fun comedic heel. He's very cocky, but not overly cocky. He is very playful, but is still going to, try to
Wile E. Coyote.
Yes, he's Wile E. Coyote. Good character work, good athleticism. Jack Cartwheel looks like he is stopping time every time he does like anything from the top rope, like the one-handed, like, I don't even know what to call it, like a pummel, if you will. Also, shout out to Caprice and Ian for naming gymnastics moves too. I was just like, I love this. They're so nerdy. I love them so much.
His pommel horse elbow drop thing, yeah.
That was a thing of beauty. I'm like, I swear time just stopped, you guys. I thought it was my screen at first.
And we move on from this match. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I've got nothing else to add for that. We move on to me, this is nothing but a charisma black hole. We've got Anthony Henry versus Action Andretti. Gave me nothing to care about. Yes, it was athletic. Yes, it was well worked. I didn't give a damn about this match.
How do you have Action Andretti go from a really solid match with Vikingo down to this? And no shade against Anthony Henry, but I was just like, this could have been a match that you could have cut. And honestly, even though I review it and it's getting better and it's actually pretty good, you could have thrown this on Rampage, if I'm being completely honest. Like, it was just a match to have a match, and it made no sense to me.
This wouldn't even have made Velocity. And
Wow,
I loved Velocity.
That's a
all right.
Cyber Monday.
Yeah, Andrew, your turn.
This was another match that had me looking at booking, especially because they told us matches that were coming up. Why was Action Andretti not in the singles four-way match that we had earlier? And then we could have had the Workhorsemen actually function as a tag team. I don't know, maybe against Top Flight. Like, we saw them show up in the backstage segment with Action Andretti, and then, like, we don't see them this week. Like, I feel like they're doing these weird things, having established tag teams lose to put together tag teams, splitting up tag teams to compete in singles competitions. Like, not that I wanted to lose JD Drake from the match that came after this, but if we're going to have these tag teams, and I think the Workhorsemen work, especially with Anthony Henry, work better as a tag team than singles. I thought Henry got to look strong in this, but, you know, it didn't make me go like, ooh, I want to see him wrestle more by himself. I don't get the whole water bottle thing, but if it gets a pop from the people that are there watching, cool, whatever. Yeah, I would have either booked these two people differently or cut this out, and that was kind of my feelings about the whole night.
Cut this match, take JD Drake out of the following match, have it be the Outrunners versus the Workhorsemen, throw Action Andretti in JD Drake's spot. There, 100. Now it's fixed.
100.
All right, Mikey, anything to add to this absolute charisma black hole, like I said?
I purged it from my memory, so we can move on.
Very good. Then we'll move on to the four-way match, which, again, I thought, we must be coming up to the main event, but not yet because we just had match upon match. We've got Slim J versus JD Drake versus Josh Woods versus Rocky Romero. Couple of things from me. I was very unhappy to see Josh Woods come out with Smart Mark Sterling again. He does not need him. It weakens his character. Go away, Mark. I want you to give me some more of JD Drake versus Josh Woods. I want that to be a feud. Their spot in the match together was excellent, and I want to see them keep going and kind of pursue that. Woods had a spectacular catch and throw of Rocky Romero, caught him, and then just threw him right back down. And I'm very curious about the decision behind having Rocky Romero win.
Yeah.
What purpose did that serve in long-term storytelling? I mean, Slim J's been there weekly, but I don't see him in any kind of title picture coming up soon. JD Drake's a tag person. Why Josh Woods? Yeah, he didn't take the pin, but why wouldn't we have Josh Woods win this match?
Yeah,
For the sake of story and continuity.
I totally expected seeing the lineup, watching the match itself. I was waiting for Josh Woods to pick up the victory in this. I was very surprised that Rocky picked up the victory. It just, wasn't what I was expecting, and I'm not sure what it serves unless Rocky Romero is going to stay in Ring of Honor for a little while and we're going to get to see something out of that. Hell, I'll be happy if we get to see Josh Woods challenge Rocky for a match and we get to see a singles match as a kind of like, yeah, you won, but you didn't beat me kind of a thing. But I doubt that we'll see that development. I thought it was a high-speed match. Everyone did really well. It was well-paced. I thought, they got to all have their moments. Slim J is as ridiculous as his look is and all of that stuff. That guy's phenomenal. So good.
He's phenomenal, but just to comment on his look, he looks like you opened up a time capsule from 2003, whenever he comes out.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, once again, I'm going to be the dissenter here. I'm a big fan of Rocky Romero. I didn't mind him winning here, because I'm looking down the line. I will eat crow, and I will be more upset if we have nothing else for Josh Woods later down the road, but I don't. At least Josh didn't get pinned here in this match. Had he got pinned, then I would have been mad about it, but Rocky getting the win here doesn't necessarily make me annoyed anything. I do agree that you probably should have given a Ring of Honor talent to pick up the victory here. But with Josh Woods not getting pinned, I think as long as we give Josh something to do down the line is fine. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I would love to see Rocky stay in Ring of Honor for a little bit, because if you spread out the Best Friends faction across all of the AEW universe, which also includes Ring of Honor since it is a subsidiary of AEW, honestly, I feel like Rocky Romero could stick in Ring of Honor, and because of his connections with CMLL and, him doing commentary for New Japan too, listen, let's flood Ring of Honor with lots of international talent. Rocky Romero has been stated to have opened a lot of the doors for the relationships that AEW and Ring of Honor get to do with a bunch of the superstars from all of the companies, from CMLL to AAA to New Japan, Noah, like all these international federations and whatnot. Rocky Romero has always been cited by a lot of the international talent that, you know, got the connections for them to come wrestle in these companies. So Rocky Romero is a good person.
Yeah, there were a lot of outcomes, and that's kind of been the way it's gone over the last few weeks, that I question them, but I have hopes that they mean something, because my fear is that it's almost just like a coin toss. Like, if you're gonna do it, have it mean something. Have it progress things forward. But we'll have to wait and see what they actually do with that.
And here we come to our main event of the night, of a very long, exhausting night, match number 15. We have the Undisputed Kingdom versus Gringo Loco and Gravity. I'm happy the titles are being defended. It was a great match. We knew who was going to be the winner at the end of this just before it even started. I had at no point thought hey, here you go, Andrew, tag team expert. A thrown together tag team was going to take out the champs. But I mean, it was a good match. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't my match of the night, but it was serviceable enough. Yeah,
the thing that frustrates me is, like, I love the idea of proving ground matches. It's a very cool and unique storytelling device that Ring of Honor has. My biggest question is, why these two? Why are they getting, this chance to win a title shot when we have so many other tag teams that should be able to wrestle for that title shot? And it's especially frustrating because I cannot think of a proving ground match where the person challenging wins. So at a certain point, why? Why are we doing this? If the champion's going to win anyway, then why is it a proving ground match? Why are we having it? Or if you're going to have it, like, why not just make it a title match and then have the people lose anyway? You can actually develop a story by having another tag team come in, like, the Iron Savages, the Infantry, the Outrunners, the Righteous. We have so many in Ring of Honor that could have come out in the main event, even if it's just outlasting the champions in some way or another, and having that eventual title shot in their back pocket. It's basically that, guaranteed title shot that they can just use at some point, and you can develop that into a story like, oh, we always have this thing. Oh, we already have people that we're going to have wrestle for the title, but we know at some point this tag team or this person's going to challenge for a title because they won it in a proving ground match. But at this point, it just seems like it's like, oh, we can just throw that on there and make it seem like another big important match. I will say that I do appreciate that since winning the title, Undisputed Kingdom has been in Ring of Honor. They've been presenting those titles and either defending them or, at least in this case, doing a proving ground match. And then I think I agree that having a clock of some sort in these proving ground matches would be super interesting and beneficial, because we heard Caprice and Ian talking about the time limit. Oh, they're trying to, they're getting close, so the champions are getting nervous and all this stuff. Put that up there so we can see it, because it'll add some more drama to what we're watching.
Give me a 10-minute timer countdown. That's all I need. Right now, without some kind of a visual aid, at least for me, whenever I see proving ground match, that means, oh, the other person's going to lose in less than 10 minutes. Or they're going to tell us it was less than 10 minutes. Especially us who are reviewing, because we've got, sometimes it's on double speed and we miss something, so we need to go back. And, I have no idea how much concept of time has passed at that point. I would really like to see them put a timer up there. That way we could have somebody, super heelish go for a proving grounds match and then just play the cat and mouse game, and just keep taunting the champions like, time is on my side, like that, and just, run the clock out, even if they lose the match. His top lip disappeared.
No, I can't defend this one. I can't defend this one in the sense that, to me, there's nothing wrong with knowing who's going to win, because obviously thrown together tag team. And I already stated this point earlier in the review that thrown together tag teams don't necessarily gel with me in the sense as being tag team challengers. I enjoyed this match. And if I'm being completely honest, this probably was in the running for my match of the night. Just because it involved the 4 people that I liked. I thought the wrestling was solid from all 4 men. I do agree. I think having a countdown timer would be really, really fun. And it's not that hard to do. I am happy to see these titles defended. They are being on an actual tag team, which was really nice, and not a one-man marching band as they were with their previous champions. But I thought this was a solid match. I didn't hate this as much as I thought it was going to, but I will admit. But I do hope that for any future Proving Ground matches that you can start throwing your established tag teams in it. And maybe I'll be less perturbed with it, even if it was like, okay, why... Just because for the giggles, I would love for the Outrunners to have a Proving Ground.
All right, let's go over the whole night then. What are we doing on empanada scales? Let's start with Andrew.
I'm going to go last.
Let's start with Mikey then.
No, I will go. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, you know what? Then I don't give a shit about anyone's empanadas, okay? All right, I'll write down time to cut that out. Let's start again. All right, let's go over the whole night. Let's see what we're doing empanada scale. Mikey?
Nah, we got to keep it all in. It's great. Content. Overall, while I enjoyed some Nyla and Johnny TV with Dalton Castle, best backstage segments of the night. I love John Cruz and Jack Cartwheel's match. I'm gonna give this like a 6.8 out of 10 empanadas in the sense that I'm not, at this point, I'm used to having really long Ring of Honor shows. I think this rating comes from the mindset of where I want to rather see quality over quantity. Because this was literally the equivalent of an AEW pay-per-view in the sense there's like 15 matches. A bunch of them had hardly any build. Most of them were squash matches, which is kind of weird to see on a very long Ring of Honor. And while I enjoyed some of these squash matches, I feel that you could have cut some of them out, or you could have exchanged some people that were wrestling in some of the singles matches. While I enjoyed the in-ring work, normally I would rather have seen like fewer matches, but given more time. Like, I don't know, have Nyla go up against, well, which is hard. You don't want Nyla to destroy the women's roster quite yet, but I don't know, have Nyla go up against, I don't know, someone like Red Velvet, who I don't think losing to Nyla would be that bad. Shoot, Red Velvet losing to Thunder Rosa actually helps her because of the fact that it's Thunder Rosa. Like, seriously. Yeah, so 6.8 out of 10. Cut the squash matches. Let's get some quality stuff. And, yeah, there we go.
I'm giving this a 6 out of 10 empanadas. This was not my favorite episode. It went on too long. To echo Mikey's statement, give me quality over quantity. It goes without saying, for me, I had no match of the night. Nothing blew me away. Nothing impressed me so much. I was happy about some certain moments. I was happy about certain matches, but nothing was match of the night quality for me. Andrew.
So, I have a mathematical equation for how I figure out my rankings. If I usually don't count the squash matches, of which of the 15 matches that we had, 5 of them were squashes. So if I don't count those, I gave it a 6.8 as well. If I do, because I was so frustrated with how many there were and how bloated this card felt with matches, they get a 4.1. This was super frustrating for me. It was like a student turning in a paper that had a lot of words, but they weren't really saying much. There's too many matches. We flew through them. Like you were talking about earlier on when we got to the first promo, it felt like, oh, wow, like this much time has passed. It was like trying to drink from a fire hydrant. It was just too much. There wasn't any there wasn't enough storytelling. The depth and the quality of all of them just wasn't what it could be, and they could have cut out a lot to focus more on details. I get that we're building towards a TV title, so they're not wanting to like spoil any of the tournament contenders, but I'd really rather have singles matches with these women that are going to be in it, so we get an idea of who our top 8 at least are gonna be for this tournament, because we've got some really good quality women's wrestlers, and I want them to be able to show that and really be showcased in it. And lastly, still, the Ring of Honor titles are so aggravating. We either hear nothing about the world title and the pure title, or we're constantly teased with potential matches that we know we're not going to get with things like the 6-man title. You know, the women's divisions, Athena, who's out with injury, the storyline for that, and the television title, which is not even a thing yet, are the things that are dominating and holding down the, Ring of Honor weekly. I will give credit to the Undisputed Kingdom. Since winning it, they have done a great job of coming over to Ring of Honor and actually being present as champions, which is really impressive considering that their faction is so heavily featured in another company as well. And I have to believe that part of that is because Bennett and Taven respect Ring of Honor, and they value those titles equally with other titles. Because for some people it feels like, oh, well, I want to be a champion, but there's not enough belts in this promotion, so just give me a title from another promotion, and at least that way I can carry it around. But I'm not going to go there and wrestle with it. My biggest issue with this is Ring of Honor quantity does not automatically equal quality. And that's how I feel about Ring of Honor has been across the board with a lot of things.
Well, rather verbose, but very well said, Andrew. There's not any kind of points I can refute. We forgot to do this in the beginning, so we're going to do this at the end. We are going to observe the Code of Honor, please, gentlemen, and we'll forgive that we forgot early. We're a bit off kilter as our one normal host is not here. For myself, for Mikey, for Andrew, we have been the bro for this week's edition of Ring of Honor. And as our lovely esteemed colleague who is absent always says, remember, you are Bi-Conic. We are all Bi-Conic. And we will see you on the next review. I took off today because it's my birthday, so I just sat here with. We went to a local coffee. It's my birthday today.
What?
We went to a local coffee shop. Thank you.